pumped up. Osheaga is just a couple of weeks away. Huge music festival that I've been to the last 2 years. It's in Montreal and it is just incredible. The best August long weekend you could ever think of. And when you're there, you know, the things that you see people wear, it inspires me and I get a little bit crazy with my outfits because festival wear is just fun. And maybe if you're going to some outdoor concerts or if you're going to be at Osheaga, let me know in the comments below. It's going to be an incredible time. These are going to be some festival outfit ideas for you. So what I've got for you today is actually a t-shirt that you can make. And also, there was some leftover material, so I thought, why not? Let's make a headband with that as well. So we'll get to that DIY right now. So you need a white t-shirt, a tie-dye kit, some elastic scissors, and some beads. So there's lots of different patterns you can do when tie-dyeing. One of my personal favorites is the spiral, and it is so easy to do. You just pinch your piece of fabric and start spinning it in a circle, as you can see I'm doing here. Once you've got that all done, fasten it with a couple of elastics. I usually use probably around 3. It should look something like this when you're all done. And then you can grab your tie-dye kit and mix it following the directions on the box. So start soaking that into your fabric and make sure you put some gloves on. My hands were blue for days after this, and underneath my nails was so gross for probably a week. Also, make sure that the surface you're working on is protected. I just threw down a plastic garbage bag that I was working on. So do the dye on both sides of your t-shirt. You will need to let this sit for around 8 to 16 hours, so be patient. Again, just follow the directions on your tie-dye kit. So you can cut off the elastics once you've let it sit and unveil your design, which I was really happy with. However, when you throw it in the wash, it looked like this. So it lost a lot of its vibrancy and color, and the colors bled together. I looked into it, and it's because I did not use something called dye fixer, which I understand you can pick up at a crafts store. So something to try if you do this for yourself. So I'm making this into a crop top. We're going to use that material later. And all you have to do is cut along the bottom here, making thin strips, making them thin enough so that you can slide the beads on afterwards. And also I'm probably cutting up about 4 inches here, but you can do whatever you're comfortable with. So do this along the entire base of your t-shirt, and you can cut both strands at the same time to make it go a little bit quicker. So once you're done, pull these all tight. It makes them thinner, makes them look more like fringe, and gets rid of all of those frayed edges, and it will make it easier for sliding those beads on. Then you're going to need to put something in between the 2 layers of your t-shirt. So I just used a piece of cardboard here. So first we're going to grab our first strand, and then we're going to grab our 4th strand. And I know that sounds a little bit backwards, but it makes sense in my head. So we're grabbing those 2 strands and we are going to fasten them together with a bead. Now slide that bead up about, I want to say 1 inch to 1.5 inches away from the top of our fringe, and then you're going to throw a knot on so the bead doesn't slide off, and you can pull that tight. And we're going to create a really cool crisscross pattern here, which is really easy once you do it a couple of times. So next I'm going to grab the strand that is closest to the direction in which we want to work, skip the next strand, and fasten it to the next one. Again, just sliding a bead here on both of those. I decided to do 2 this time. I just mixed it up when I was doing this shirt. So grab that strand that you skipped last time, pull it up and over, skip the next strand, and grab your next one, again fastening it with a bead. So do this along the entire base of your t-shirt until you are completely finished. So I tried it on. I didn't really like the way that it looked. This was a men's small t-shirt that I picked up, so I decided to cut the neckline here. And I really just free-handed it. I made it kind of into a scoop neck, and it ended up working out for me. As for the back, I cut it a little bit closer to the original neckline just because I didn't want it to be so low. So pull those tight again to get rid of any of those frayed edges. So again, I tried the t-shirt on and I didn't like the way that it looked still. These sleeves were a little bit too long for me. So again, I'm just free-handing this here, cutting off a little bit of the edge, pulling that tight to get rid of those frayed edges, and grabbing the piece that I cut off of the opposite arm and using it as a template so that both of the sleeves were the same. So that's it for your t-shirt. We can move on to our headband with that scrap piece of material that we set aside earlier from the bottom of our t-shirt. We're going to lay this flat and cut some strips along the length of this. So we are going to be braiding, so all you need is 3 strips, and once you have all of those 3 strips cut out, just pull them tight as we have been doing with all of this t-shirt material. And I also went ahead and cut out the seam here just so there wasn't a weird bulge in the middle of my braid. So once you have your 3 strands, and yes, I know there's 4 here, but it's because the one was too thin, I decided to double it up. You can pin them to something. This will make it a lot easier. Now, I was working on a styrofoam board, so I was just able to pin that into the board I was working on. You can also use a safety pin and pin it to a pillow, which works just great as well. So go ahead and start doing a simple braid with your t-shirt strands, and we are going to go and do this along the entire length of this until we get towards the end. And before we fasten that off, just measure it on your head, make sure it fits and it just overlaps a tiny bit, because we do have to sew these 2 ends together. So grab your needle and your thread and begin to thread that needle through the hole. Just pull it through and tie a knot off on the end. We're just going to do some simple stitching here, and don't worry, you don't have to be a pro sewer, because this can be as messy as you want. Just kind of ramming this through all of these t-shirt strands. It doesn't need to look pretty, it just needs to hold. So do as many stitches as you think is going to be good enough to hold your headband together. You can tie it off when you're all done. And then to cover up that mess, we're going to take an extra piece of material here. I'm just using a piece from the sleeve and cutting off a small little rectangle piece to cover up that mess. So all you have to do is wrap around that rectangle piece, and you are going to grab your needle and thread again and throw in a couple extra stitches here to sew that together and fasten it so we can clean up that mess that we had earlier. And once you're done, just tie it off and trim off that extra thread and you're good to go.
I thought that we were stronger, only so much stronger, but then I found you, like the world, like the world. I thought that we were stronger, only so much stronger, but then I found you.
So let me know what you think of this DIY. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. And if you're going to go to Osheaga, again, let me know. Leave it in my comments below. Really looking forward to this. And I know it's still a couple of weeks away, so next week I'm going to do some more festival wear DIYs. This is just part 1, the beginning. So you have to tune in next week on Wednesday. I'll have another DIY video for you to get you all pumped up and ready to go to any festival that you're going to this summer, because oh man, they are just so much fun, and it's great that you can be so creative with your outfits. So again, if you ever do want to show me your DIYs, follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Janelle Steeper, and use the hashtag toDIYfor if you're sending me any of those photos. Cheers, and I will see you next week. Ugh, sweaty legs. Uh-oh. Oh. Yeah, I don't have any pants on. Oh, I'm running out of breath. Talking too fast.